Alright, today we're going to learn some of the cool text and type options in Illustrator. First thing you want to do is create a new file. Some people had trouble with this. When you go to File and New, you want to make sure you're on Print tab, and you click on the first one. And maybe you want to change it to inches just to make sure that you're at 8.5 by 11 inches. A lot of kids were doing 8.5 by 11 points. Okay. 8.5 by 11 points is not the same as 8.5 by 11 inches, so just be aware of that. Next it says, use the type tools to create the text below. Go to View, Rulers, Show Ruler, and hit Control R. So we want to turn on the ruler, Control R. That brings up the ruler, which we'll use in a little bit. Next it says, number 1 here, Vertical Type Tool. So underneath or nested with the type tool is all these other type options. We have vertical type tool, so we're going to click on that and then just type in like your name or something. I'm going to crank up the size here. So that's the vertical type tool. Pretty cool, pretty simple. Next it says draw a path, then use the type on a path tool, and there's a little screenshot of where that's nested under. Okay, when you draw your path, use the pencil tool and just draw a path. Turn up your stroke. Like right now I don't have a stroke. If I click off of it, it disappears. It's technically still there, but there's no stroke thickness. So what I would recommend is when you draw it, crank up the stroke thickness so you can see where it is. Now the type on the path tool, click and hold. Right there it is, type on a path tool. Wherever you click is where your text starts. So if I click right here, that's where my text starts. You can see it follows the path that you make, which is pretty cool. You can use your selection tool and actually move these little blue bars. You can adjust where it starts. You could adjust in the middle. And here on the end, you could actually cut off some of your text. So if you see this little red plus, that means you're cutting off some of your text, and you need to like stretch that out. See how the little red plus is gone? Because all my text is showing. Okay? Number 3, use the spiral tool, then use type on a path. And again, here's a screenshot. Line segment and the spiral tool is nested with the line segment. So here's the line segment. If you click and hold, there's the spiral tool, draw a spiral. Again, I would crank up the stroke so you can actually see it when you click off of it. Use your type on a path tool, and again, you can just put random letters. You want to be able to see that your text spins around the spiral. Okay, those 3 are pretty easy. The next one's a little trickier. We're going to draw a circle and then use type on a path on the top of the circle, and we're going to try and make it even left and right, so it starts and ends like on the same curve. So use your circle tool, the ellipse tool, hold the shift key and make a perfect circle. Type on a path. You got to click on the edge of the circle, and you can type in your name or whatever. Now here, we're going to use the selection tool. Again, we have our starting point, we have our end point, which would have to go the whole way around to cut off. We also have a middle point. And you can really use any of them. I'm using the middle point. Notice that I'm keeping my text. See, sometimes it does that though. It's spinning it around to the bottom. It can get kind of tricky. It's a little tricky to play with. What I usually do then is just undo and try it again. Now, that looks about even, but when I drag down a guideline from my ruler and place it at the beginning, you can see that I'm off. So, click on it and adjust it. We want to try and make the space equal on both sides. So now when I adjust my guide, line up with the bottom, you can see there's a little bit, maybe just a tad bit more. Okay, if you can get that close, that's actually pretty close enough. Actually, I think that's right on. If I move this guide, boom, shake, shake the room. Do those 4, and then we'll do part 2 in a little bit. All right, for part 2, you're going to draw. place an image onto your file. So it says how to crop an image in Illustrator. So we want to crop an image in Illustrator. What you got to do is place an image onto the sheet. If you remember, that's File and Place. You don't have to get a new image. You can use an image that you've used before. Okay. Then the next step is draw a shape and then select both the shape and the image. Now here's the key. The shape has to go on top. So you have to place your image first, then draw a shape. So I'm going to draw a star. Okay, I'm going to add a stroke thickness so my star doesn't disappear when I click off of it. Next, you need to select both the shape and the image. Now there's two ways to do that. Hold the Shift key and select both, or just draw a little window and grab both. You got to be careful though. When you draw a window and you try to grab both, you might grab other stuff, which obviously is not what you want. So you just got to be mindful of that. Then you're going to go to Object menu, Clipping Mask, Make. Object menu, Clipping Mask down at the bottom, and Make. And it will clip it wherever your shape is. Now what's cool is if you double click a whole bunch of times, you can actually move your image around inside that shape you made. Kind of like them like that. Okay. The last one you're going to do is you're going to draw another circle, but this time you're going to put the text on the bottom inside. Okay, so type on a path. You can type in your name or whatever again. But this time when you move it with your selection tool, the key is this little bar here, you drag inside the circle. When you put it inside the circle, it goes inside the circle. And then you try to spin it around so that it's even left and right. Now I'm making this look pretty easy. This is actually kind of tricky. That's why we're practicing it. And then if you got real skills, you can put your little shape and fit it inside. Boom, we got the beginning of a t-shirt. All right, so go ahead and try that. Let me know if you need help.